Hello, my name is Chris Knight, and this is Darkest Shadows. This podcast is based around the paranormal. Anything weird, dark, scary, or creepy. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hello, and welcome back to Darkest Shadows. I am your host, Chris Knight. And today's podcast is Ghost Stories. I have a collection of 6 pretty creepy ghost stories that I thought it would be fun for you guys to listen to on this short little podcast. So without further ado, let's get right into them. Number 1.
I live in a house where a lot of strange occurrences have happened. The house has been in our family since 1950, and we had my aunt and her husband owned it. She passed away. We bought it, and my father and mother each passed away in the house. Well, I've had 2 strange occurrences with my telephone. I'll tell you about one of them. It was 1989 in the fall, and I was sitting in my front parlor watching television. It was getting late, and so I turned the television off and laid down on the couch and covered up with a quilt. And I keep a light in my kitchen, which shines into my little dining room and then my parlor, and I have my phone in my dining room. And I fell asleep, and I woke up and I heard somebody talking, and I live alone. So I pulled the quilt from my head, and I'm looking into the parlor, and I see a man standing talking on my telephone. First thought was, I didn't lock the door. Somebody's gotten in the house. And so I'm lying there very still because I figured maybe he can't see me, and maybe he'll just rob and get out of here. And he's talking on the phone. I'm hearing him saying, oh, yes, I've got to get that done. I've got a lot of work to do. And he's going on and on about work, but I couldn't catch what he was talking about. And he was a young man, probably in his 30s, and he had a baseball cap on. So I'm just like, oh my God, what is he doing? So I'm very, very quiet, but at the same time, I'm reaching. I had my coffee table there, and I'm reaching because I had a pair of scissors there, and I figure I'm going to get the scissors because if he comes in and tries to attack me, I'm going to attack him. I'm lying there still, but my hand is going, and I hear him talking, and as I said, he was a young man in his 30s. He had a baseball cap on, a jacket, jeans. Yeah, I could see that he had like a blondish red hair or a beard. And I'm praying as I'm watching him. He gets done with the phone, puts the phone down. He turns, he walks into the parlor, and I'm thinking, oh my God, here it comes. He looks at me, smiles, walks through the wall into my driveway. I jump up, look out, and there's nobody there. I came out and touched my phone, and it was warm, as if someone had been talking on the phone.
So there you go. That was caller number 1. That was pretty creepy. Next, caller number 2.
I was with a friend of mine out in a field near where I live in Knoxville, and we were walking around. We had our BB guns, and we'd heard stories that where we were at was a place where there was a lot of Civil War action. I don't know if that's actually true or not. I've not been able to find any the authenticity of that. But we were on what would be described like as a logging road. And we were walking down through there, and we were talking about the possibility of graves around there and stuff. And we looked up, and there were a pair of boots that were, we saw them at first. They started walking towards us, and all they were boots. They were dusty. They weren't polished or anything like that. They appeared to be old, like they'd been used. They walked up. They were walking towards us, and we kind of froze. We didn't know what to do. We just stood there. They walked up. They stopped right in front of us. We both looked at each other. I bent down and tried to pick them up, and I couldn't grab them. And then they vanished into thin air. They were gone. We looked at each other again, and then that's when we both decided we ran back to the house, and that was the last we went up onto that area. We were on motorbikes up in the woods. We ran back to them, went back to the house, and that was it.
That one was pretty odd. But anyway, moving right along to caller number 3.
My father was a victim of a homicide back in 1976. The early evening of his death, he dropped me off at my grandmother's where I was planning on spending the night. And, it's my dad, and he's just dropping me off at Grandma's. So I jump out of the car and run up the walkway. But something makes me stop and turn around and look at him. And we kind of just, he was in the car, I was standing on the sidewalk, and everything kind of slowed down. And I knew that, that was probably the last time I was going to see him. But, as a little kid, I just kind of walked away and didn't really think anything of it. As it turns out, I didn't stay at my grandmother's at the last minute. I stayed at my aunt's house. And we'd gone to bed, and about 11 o'clock that night, I woke with a start. Just not feeling well, sick to my stomach and everything. And I was uncomfortable. Something was going on. So I get up, and I'm walking through the house by myself, and it's dark. And right as I walk past the phone, it rings. I pick up the phone, and someone says to me, "Your father's been shot." And click, that was it. I got very sick, I vomited and everything. I ran to the bathroom, vomited, woke my aunt up, something's wrong. And she's like, what? I said, the phone just rang. And, no, you just had a bad dream, go back to sleep. Can't go to sleep. So I went in, laid on the couch. She went to bed. It's his sister, my father's sister. She went to bed. I'm lying there on the couch, and I know something's wrong. So I get up, and I call my uncle, my mother's brother. I ask him to let my grandmother know that something's happened to my father. And he's the same way. He's like, no, just go, you just had a bad dream. Go back to sleep. So meanwhile, I'm trying to convince people, and I'm getting so upset and so distraught that my aunt starts paying attention to me. Within an hour, my grandmother was over at the house, and a friend of hers had called her to let her know that my father had been in an accident. They didn't know that he'd been shot, that he'd been in some sort of accident. And I'm trying to convince them he's dead. And immediately, of course, they think I'm overreacting. I know he's been shot. And sure enough, right around that same time that I got the phone call, a little bit after 11, is right around the time that he died. And to this day, my uncle knows that I did call him to tell him that my father was dead. But no one else can, confirm the fact that I heard the phone ring, that I picked up the phone. I didn't recognize it as my father. To this day, I've thought about it. I don't know who the person was. And the thing is, no one knew other than my grandmother and that I had gone to spend the night at my aunt's house at the very last minute.
There you go. That was caller number 3, and now we're moving right along to caller number 4.
Hey, my story goes back in 1975. My girlfriend and I were driving back to Idaho where I was going to school. We were headed towards Yellowstone Park and going towards Montana East Gate. And we were driving in a little yellow Volkswagen around midnight, and it was kind of snowing. And picture a 2-lane road with tall trees in between and no moon or nothing. It's just our headlights. And the snow was falling and slushy. And all of a sudden there was this figure I saw walking right in the center of the road, walking the same direction as me. In other words, her back was towards us. It was a lady. And at first I noticed her, and I told my girlfriend, I said, you see what I see? There's a girl walking out here in midnight, and it's probably about 30 degrees out there. And the closer we got, the more detail I can make out. And, in fact, I was going to roll down my window and say, hey, listen, you need some help. But we noticed that she was wearing very, very old, 19th century garb clothing. And she had these hobnail boots on. And she had a long shawl and around her shoulders, and then her hair was long brown hair down to probably a little bit below her shoulder blades. And the closer we got, we noticed something weird was that her hair was completely dry. It was not even wet. And I was just about to roll down my window, and my girlfriend goes, don't even stop, don't even look, she's a ghost. And, that freaked me out because I was just about ready to slow down. She goes, don't even look in the mirror. She has no face. You can imagine, here we are putzing along a little Volkswagen, and I just slowly moved over to the right and to avoid hitting her, and I just moved on. And when we got to the gate, the ranger said, sorry, but the path is closed tonight due to the snow. You mean we got to go back? We were scared out of our wits. Anyways, we got to this motel, and fortunately the guy still had a room available. And as soon as we got in the room, we just locked the door and put the chair up against the wall.
Well, how do you like them apples? Okay, moving right along to caller number 5.
The reason I'm calling is about my daughter. She talks to her grandmother. Her grandmother has been dead for 5 years now. First time she told me about it, I was at work, and when I got home, my roommate told me, call your daughter, she's real upset. So I called, and They said, Kimberly's real upset. She won't tell us what's wrong. She wants to talk to you. So I go over and I talk to her, and she says, Daddy, Grandma's here. I said, what do you mean, Kimmy? She says, Grandma's here. I see Grandma in the house. And we're sitting around the table talking to her, and she says, Grandma's behind Mommy right now. And my ex-wife said she felt this chill. And my daughter says, Grandma's putting her hand on Mommy's shoulder and saying everything's going to be okay.
I like that one. That one was pretty creepy. And now, without further ado, the last one, caller number 6.
My story starts, I'm a stuntman, and I do a lot of traveling around the country, and I was in Coral Gables, Florida, and there's a big hotel there called the Coral Gables that used to be Al Capone's, hangout. And so I went down there to do a film with a couple of buddies of mine, and as I walked into the hotel, it's this huge palatial hotel that, it's like a huge mansion. And so I walked through the door, and I was with my friend Richard, and I turned to him and I said, this place is haunted, man. This place is haunted. He goes, okay. I said, did you feel that when I walked through the door? It's like a cold wind. Now, this place is huge. It's not little. It's massive. And so we got assigned to our room, and I was the only stuntman that was on the 5th floor. And so I went to bed early because I had an early call that morning. And so around 11:30, I hear a knock at my door. I get up, look out, and there's nobody there. And one of the guys is playing a joke on me, right? So I lay back down, start to go to sleep, and I start feeling my covers being pulled off me. Down there, I thought someone snuck in, right? So, okay, whatever. Knock at the door again. Go to the door, nobody's there. Now I'm getting kind of irritated, and I'm hearing like a party going on down the hallway, and it's like noise. I'm trying to get to sleep. I got a 4:30 call. I'm getting real agitated. So I lay back down again, cover myself up. The covers start pulling off me again. And I'm saying, someone's short-sheeting me or something here, right? I get up, door knocks again, open up, and there's a guy at the end of the hallway wearing a tuxedo and a red carnation with his hair slicked back. And he looks kind of odd because it looks like a period suit. And I looked at the guy and I said, hey, bud, I'm trying to get some sleep. I got to go to work tomorrow. Could you just knock it off? It's not funny. And he kind of laughed and turned and walked down the hallway. So I shut my door, and all night long, party. I called downstairs and I said, look, you know what? I'm going to have to change rooms. This floor is way too noisy. And she says, oh, you're on the 5th floor. I went, yeah. And she said, okay. So I hang up, go to sleep, and I didn't sleep much that night. And I get the next morning, and I go down to the lobby, and there's a historical society booth right there. And I said, excuse me, I said, is this place haunted? And she started laughing. She says, oh, this is one of the most haunted places in North America. And I'm going, oh, thanks. She says, you weren't staying on the 5th floor, were you? I said, yeah. She said, well, that was where the morgue used to be during World War II. It was converted into a hospital, and that was the morgue. Well, great. So immediately I went to the front desk and I said, I'd like to be moved off the 5th floor. It was pretty, and even talking about it gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Okay, so there you go, caller number 6, and that is the end of the podcast. I'm going to throw a little commercial at you. Until the next time, goodbye. Do you like creepy things, such as fine gothic art, oddities, antiques, taxidermy, or maybe haunted objects? If so, then look no further. The Creeper Gallery is just the place for you. This completely unique and terrifying gallery, located in New Hope, Pennsylvania, and based in a Victorian era. Anything dark, strange, or unusual. Store hours are Friday, 3 to 8, Saturday, 12 to 5, and Sunday, 12 to 5 as well. TheCreeperGallery.com, or find them on Instagram at The Creeper Gallery.